Hello and welcome. Janine Brawley here, and excited to be connecting because we have a two-part series, a topic between this session and next one, all about moving from resistance to non-resistance. So this may not seem like a super sexy topic, but is super important to pay attention to because there's an undertone every part of our lives. Unless we look at it, it can actually wreak havoc. So I've been seeing this and hearing this, whether it's been in the news, social media, conversations I've been having with clients, and even what's going on in the world. There's just a lot of people growing, shifting, awakening. But unless we really know that sometimes when we start growing, we bump up against our stuff and we're met with resistance, right? The ego wants us to keep us safe and small, right? So we need to be wise to this. But just not as we are awakening more, but also just in our daily life. So, but it's just very prevalent. And so it also comes from one of my energy archetypes, how we give away our energy and power when we resist, right? So I want to look at this in two ways. The first way is, I would say, it's the way we resist the natural flow of life, and resisting what is. Resisting what we really don't have any control over. And I'd say of the two, this is the less serious one. So we may not consider this even as resistance because sometimes our resistance becomes almost normal, habitual, right? So we want to shine the light on it, increase our awareness, see where we're bumping up against it, right? So this could be like our cost of living, we bump up against, whether it's our conversation or just thought patterns or in, how we're viewing it. So it could be like things like complaining about the cost of living, or the lineups we encounter, or traffic, or taxes, bills, weather. It can be quite unnoticed or subtle, and kind of go under the radar with our thought patterns, right? So, but our ego can be really sneaky, right? So if we're not in 100% flow, we're actually wasting our energy. We're like resisting and putting our energy to not a good use. So write this down if you aren't really familiar with this or really need to understand this at a deeper level. And that is, resistance causes unnecessary suffering. And there's so many levels to the resistance. It's not just resisting, right? But you take yourself out of the game. You take yourself out of receiving mode. And then now what you're putting out, you receive, right? You're putting out that resistance, right? And there's a reason why we do it. We're programmed to resist. We're programmed to resist, right? So when we know that, we're like, oh, okay, well, it gives you a little bit of awareness where you can go, oh, well, it's just this thing that we do. And I'm not saying just keep doing it, but now we've got awareness, we can turn that around. So we know what we resist persists, right? We've heard that catchy meme. But just think about that, right? I've got a friend who every time we go out for dinner, she'll order, something a little bit higher maintenance in the food, her orders for her meal, right? And it was always like, I hope they don't get it wrong. I hope they don't get it wrong. And guess what happens, right? It comes back and it's not, 50% of the time it's not what she ordered, right? So even something so simple, I wanted to shed that light because it's such a simple example. Like, you may not order that way, but where is it that you put your order out to, maybe not the restaurant, but to the universe? But then you put the doubt out or question it or get impatient with it, right? So, are you in resistance or are you in full flow, full expectation, full knowing that it's a done deal with your order, right? Because you are the creator. You are a creator. So what are you creating, right? We want to be consciously creating. So the good news is that with this category, it's easy to shift, right? You have the awareness, like, oh yeah, I caught myself, right? Oh right, there's that resistance, right? I don't want to, lower my vibe and start putting that out there. So you can just catch yourself, right? So some real life examples, like I was saying, it can be weather, taxes, bill, comparing yourself. That's a real thief of joy, comparing yourself to other people. And sometimes the sneakier one is like, you've got maybe dreams, goals, visions, intentions that you want to bring to fruition. Is like, are you unconsciously blocking and resisting that when you're doubting it or questioning it, or putting the fear up, like whether really you're questioning it, right? So, and that's really is it really going to come to fruition? Like, Well, where is it? And that all of a sudden takes us from the presence of our goals, our desires, what we want to bring to fruition. All of a sudden it switches us to the absence, the lack, right? Very, very different energies, right? So we need to, unless we're really, unless our mindset is clear, right? It's a done deal, it will be resistance. If it's not done deal, I'm acting as if it's coming to fruition, it's resistance, right? So just ask yourself where you might do that, where you might, put it out there. You want to create something and then kind of put the brakes on yourself, right? And that's alluding to the next category, but just make a note of that, right? So if you are not where you want to be, you have resistance. I say that with extreme radical love. But if we have desires we want to bring to fruition and they aren't, of course there's divine timing, but if you notice you've got a pattern of, getting in there and doing what we do, there's resistance, right? So just get curious. Don't come down on yourself. Just get curious, because the curiosity leads to awareness, leads to transformation. So the second way is a little more, I'll say, serious. And I call this the yes, but syndrome. So you may feel called to do or be or create something, and it's coming from, a place of inspiration. Maybe you were just journaling or meditating, maybe you're in nature, maybe you were at a workshop, or you were listening to something and you got this like aha, and it's coming from you. Call it truth, inner being, God, source, divinity. I don't care what the word is, of course I care, but when it's coming from this place, it's a yes. It has to be a yes. And then what happens, whether it's 5 days or 5 weeks or 5 minutes, we all of a sudden the ego goes, well, of course the ego, we don't hear it quite like that, but we'll want to keep us small and safe. And I'm explaining it like this so you can have the awareness of going, oh yeah, okay, that does happen, right? But all of a sudden it wants to keep us safe and small, and we put the brakes on ourselves. This is so prevalent, especially with women. We get the call, we get the pull, and the heartstrings are getting yanked on, right? And then we put the brakes on. For me, the one that I had quite prevalent, a few, but was like, well, who am I to do this? Or what will people think? And then I kind of peeled it back a little bit more, and what came up was, will I be received? Right? If I put myself out there, will I be received? Now I'm at a point, well, I don't really care. I've got to do what I'm doing, right? Or what I'm being called to do. I can't not do what I'm being called to do, right? And so you just got to find a way to stay true to your yes, right? To your truth, to your yearning, what you're here to do, be and create in the world. So, get curious. What is your but, right? What is your yes but? And just make a note of that and get curious. Is it, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection, right? Not knowing what to do, will I be received? And the list goes on. And so just as important as having this awareness is how you're processing this, right? Are you coming down to yourself going, oh my God, I can't believe I do that. Sorry, I said, oh my goodness, right? So having compassion for yourself, we all do it. It's part of the human nature. It's like, well, I shouldn't say all of us do it. Most of us do it. So just catch yourself and see how you can turn that around, because that is power when you can have that awareness. So if this was of value, go to town, do some work on this. And we're going to be doing, I'm going to be sharing the second part, which is moving to non-resistance. So we talked about the resistance, the 2 ways we bump up against our stuff. The first one around, resisting what we don't have much control over, and just allow it, just let it be, right? Weather is just weather. There's wetness coming from the sky, right? Just let it be. And then the second is the little more serious, right? When we're talking about our calling, our purpose, our truth, right? I call that the yes, but syndrome. So what is your but? So dive into that for a while. And next video I'm going to do on non-resistance. So moving from resistance to non-resistance. And I'm going to touch on one of the universal laws. It's actually a forgotten laws around non-resistance. So hopefully this was helpful. Always love hearing feedback. And until next time, have a wonderful day. And we will see you soon talking about non-resistance. Thanks, guys.